come for the smart, but stay for the plot. Let's hope you're in focus. I got a new ring light, so I can film at night, which is really exciting. Hi, my name is Sasha. Welcome back to my channel, Sash Reads, and today I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in May. Now I'm going to try and make this as cozy as possible because it is a Thursday night and I really need to get this filmed because it's the 9th today. I just really should get this filmed before I forget about everything that I read in May. Alrighty, so here is my cool little recap here. So in the month of May I read a total of 14 books. That is a total of 4,570 pages. I read only from 2 authors of colour, which I need to work on that. The best book of the month was You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Quakey and Measy, which I will talk about that a lot. Worst book, which I don't really think was the worst book, but it was my only 3-star of the month. It's not the worst book in the world. It's actually a really good book, but it's the worst book for me for the month, and that was Fable by Adrienne Young. 4 5-stars, 9 4-stars, and 1 3-star. So the first book I read for the month of May was Praise by Sarah Kate. This is just something that I needed. I know I did this full May TBR that I was going to read, and then first book wasn't even on my TBR. I was like, nah, fuck it, I need some KU Smart. I've read from Sarah Kate before and really enjoyed Gravity, and everyone was raving over her new Delicious Players Club series, so I thought I'd give it a go. And it's chef's kiss, so it's a ex-boyfriend dad kink age gap taboo romance, and it was everything I needed in that moment. I just really enjoyed it. One of the things that I really didn't like was the way the male main character Emerson kept going on about, we've got to keep it a secret because I don't want my son to hate me even more than he already does. And it's like, mate, you've already fucked her. You can't take that back. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. I then read, I might as well just talk about the next book in the series because I read that this month as well, and that was Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate. This is another taboo. It's a step-sibling relationship and voyeur / exhibitionism, maybe, I think. This one is about, I think, oh crap, what's the guy's name? I don't remember the guy's name, but he's a voyeur. He only likes looking, basically, and he's going through cam girls and he finds one that looks suspiciously a lot like his stepsister. It is his stepsister, and he kind of starts a fake name relationship with her as someone else, and then they start falling for each other. But this one I wasn't a big fan of because of all the lying and how he got caught out in lying. It's just mate, if you just told her from the start, none of this could have happened. But that was my major gripe from it. The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. I read this for my Mother's Day vlog, so I will link that up above and down below for you to go check that out, where I talk about this in so much more depth. But I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This is a kind of dystopian sort of, not really. Basically, we've got the main character, is it Maddie? No, Frida. Frida is a first-time mum. She's a single mum, and she's just basically, she's had a very bad day, and she's gone to work to go get some stuff that she left behind on the Friday, I think, and she gets a call saying, we have your daughter, from the police. Turns out Frida had left her 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old daughter. Is she 2 years old? 18 months. She left her 18-month-old baby at home by herself for over 2 hours. And so Frida then has to go to this school to get reformed to be a better parent. And reading this with a 20-month-old baby of my own, it was just very sad. I just felt so many feelings. I was so emotional reading this book, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. You've got so many ranges of why people are in this school, which is basically like a prison. You've got people who were co-sleeping with their baby, they rolled over and broke the baby's arm. Or you've got someone who locked their kids in the basement for a week because they just couldn't handle them. And like the way Frida, like, she judges everyone for why they're there. It's like, mate, you're there too. I really enjoyed reading from her perspective because she is very judgy and she's just not a very good person, but she thinks she is. You feel for her because they never let her see her daughter while she's in the prison either, and it's just, ugh, all the things that happen. I'm like, mate, like, come on, you just can't catch a break. There was a really interesting part of this book for the mothers to become better mothers. They need to raise these like AI robots basically who are the same age as their real life children. And the relationship she formed with that robot, and I liked it. It's just the way like she hated it at the start because she's like, you're not my child, you're never going to replace my child. But then in the end, like, cause she feels real feelings for this kid because she's there for like a year, I think. All in all, I really enjoyed it, and if you like reading books about mums, or if you just like to, I don't know, judge other mums, definitely pick this book up. I then read The Never King and the Dark One by Nikki St. Croix. This was for the Gimme All the Spice book club, and I friggin' loved it. The Never King was 4 stars, Dark One was 5 stars. I love this series and I cannot wait for their Vicious Darling, which comes out I think in September, which is so far away. But this is a Peter Pan retelling. It's a dark romance reverse harem, and you start off with Winnie, who has been told from her mum at 18 years old Peter Pan's gonna come get her. Like, he's not the boy of your dreams, he's the man from your nightmares. And so yeah, on the night of her 18th birthday, Peter Pan comes gets her, and when he's like, oh shit, mum was right, like I thought she was just crazy. She goes to Neverland and she meets the rest of the Lost Boys, and you've got the twins, you've got Bash and Cass, and then you've got Vane as well. And Vane has this like dark spirit in him, like the way that Nikki St. Croix made Peter Pan, but the way she retold it and she throws like this really cool spin on it as well. I just really enjoyed it. You've got all these aspects going on. Just pick these books up. Come for the smart, but stay for the plot. You feel? But the ending of the Dark One, as soon as Winnie got locked in that room, I'm just like, this is gonna happen. And it did. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I was like, oh, like, what? Like, so good. I read these on KU and I had to go get my own copies. So that's what I did, and thank you so much Jess from the First Chapter Books for ordering in the Dark One so I can have these too, and I cannot wait to pick up their Vicious Darling soon as it comes in. But yeah, definitely check out the content warnings on the author's website for these books because there are some things that are a bit... I then read The Collective by Alison Galen for the Mother's Day vlog as well, and this was a 5-star read. I read this in like almost one sitting. I read them for one of Meredith's live sprints, like live reading sprints, and I finished it all pretty much. Like, I started on page 10 when I started reading for the sprints, and I finished the book while she was still going. This is about Camille, who 5 years ago she had lost her daughter. Her daughter was raped and murdered in a forest. So 5 years later, like after a really bad like internet viral video of her, she gets a calling card basically to be like, if you want revenge, like come to this link and blah blah blah. This is where she finds the Collective, and the Collective are a group of parents who get revenge on their children's murderers by killing other people's children's murderers. And it was so good. I loved this book. I really want to get my own copy of it. This is only a library copy. Yeah, just the twist and turn, like I didn't even see some of them coming. Like I would do the same thing. Like if someone killed my kid, I would, and then gets away with it, I would not kill anyone because this is going on the internet and I don't want anything to come against me.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And then the last book for that Mother's Day reading vlog, I read Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. Was a 5-star read as well, I believe. Were you? Yes. This follows 3 different mums that go to this Pirawee public primary school. All their kids go to the prep there. Is it the prep or the kindy? I don't know. before year one. Starts off and it's at the annual school trivia night and there's a murder, and then go back to the like introduction day, like where you go for like half a day, the kids all like get to know each other and like understand how school works. Basically read from 3 different women's perspectives all up until the murder, and you don't know who was murdered and who the murderer was. And you've got like at the end of each chapter you have, I think it's a reporter talking to these people about like other Periwi public parents about the murder and like what happened. And basically it was so good. I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I picked it up. I was a bit hesitant picking up this book because Leanne Moriarty is a really hyped author, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like her writing, but I definitely did. I want to pick up more from her. Probably not some of her older stuff. I've heard they're not the best, but definitely going to pick up more of her newer stuff. Please excuse the change in everything. My son woke up. The next book I read was Fable by Adrienne Young. This was for my NetGalley Arc reading vlog, which I'll link up above and down below for you to watch as well, where I talk about all my in-depth thoughts about it. This is the one book I gave 3 stars this month. Not necessarily a bad book. I think it was a bit too young for me, if that makes sense. You've got Fable, who's been abandoned on this island since she was like 14, I think, and she's been living by herself for like 3 years, fending for herself because this island is pretty cutthroat, to try and prove to herself and to her father that she's good enough to be on his crew, because no one can know that she is his daughter. And yeah, basically it's following Fable going through all of that, trying to get to her father, and then also she's finding out lots of secrets about her mother's death and everything as well. I did enjoy it. I think there was just a lot of ship talk for me that I had no idea what was going on, and I understand and I appreciate the author researching all that, but it just wasn't for me. I definitely will be picking up the sequel, Namesake, because I do want to know what happens and find out what's going on with the dead mum. But other than that, really enjoyed this book. The cover is beautiful as well. I don't know if I'm going to pick up my own copies. If Namesake is 5 stars, I might pick my own copies up, but I'm not crossing my fingers. I then read Victory's Greater Than Death by Charlie Jane Anders for that same vlog. Absolutely adored this book. This was a very high 5 stars for me. This is a YA sci-fi about this girl called Tina, who's been told all her life that she is this clone of this super important base general. Tina is going to save the world basically because of this clone. Once Tina actually gets called to go and like become this general, things happen and it doesn't work pretty much. Tina and her best friend Rachel get pulled along this journey, and they bring a couple other humans from Earth as well on this very fun, fast, action-packed space drama, and it was so good. It is very queer. I really loved it. So we get a sapphic relationship, and the love interest is a black trans woman. How good. The one thing I really didn't like, no, this wasn't 4 stars, this wasn't 5 stars, this was 4 stars. Maybe it should be 5 stars though, because I thought it was 5 stars. Let's talk about that later. The one thing I didn't like was how quickly they said I love you. It went from like, it's an enemies to lovers, but then as soon as they like get together and actually talk about their feelings, it's then, oh, I love you. Like, no, I understand you guys are like 17, but still definitely keen to pick up the next book though, and finish the trilogy, because I believe, okay, yeah, the second book came out this year and then the third book was going to come out next year. But I love these covers too, like how beautiful is that. I then read Desperate Measures by Katie Robert for the Full Moon Book Club that Jan Agaton hosts every month. So I did film a vlog for this. I'm not sure if it's going to be up by the time you see this video, but I will link it when and if I do post it. But this was a reread for me. This is a 4-star book because I'm not the biggest fan of the consensual, non-consensual kink. It's a very slow step into the wicked villains series that Katie Robert has made, and is a Jasmine and Jafar dark romance retelling, basically, with King. I'm reading the second book now. I'm rereading it. I've read the first two, but I'm going every month now. I'm going to be reading the rest of the series because they're on Hoopla, I believe. I forgot the ending of this book though, so rereading it and remembering the ending, I'm like, damn, Jasmine is that bitch. She is, and she is the queen, and I love her. And then I read my favorite book of the month, probably one of my favorites book of the year. That is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Queensland Maisie.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
This is their first romance novel, and they write romance so well. Prefer it so much more than their literary fiction. So this is about Faye. Her partner, her husband, basically passed away in a car accident, I think 5-ish years ago, and she's not finally starting to move on, but she's like thinking, maybe I'm gonna like maybe dip my toes into the water or whatever. And it's about her journey on finding love and going through different romances. There is 3 different partners in this book, and I love how there was no like slut shaming about it. It was just, she's living a life, she's loving life, and she's going to take what she wants, basically. She's got a best friend, Joy, who I love Joy. I really want like not a sequel, what do they do in romance, like a companion novel about Joy. Oh, I don't know, she's probably one of my favorite characters of the book. I also love that, however it was a male-female romance, both love interests, like both the main character and the love interest, bisexual. I don't know if it's much of a spoiler who she ends up with. I won't tell you, but it's so good. The way that Queensland Maisie like writes, and they wrote like food. Oh my gosh, one time I was so like, dinner was getting ready, and then Alim, who is a chef, accredited chef, was making all this food, and Faye was like describing it, and I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry, like I could eat this stuff. Like I don't like coconut, but they were eating coconut. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. But yes, definitely pick this book up. If you don't read romance, pick this book up. Make this the one romance you read. It's so good. And yes, I loved it, and definitely go watch my vlog because I talk about it a lot. One big thing I really enjoyed though was the communication between everyone in this book. So Faye starts dating her ex fuck buddy's bestie, right? And she's like, are you gonna like tell him, or like are we keeping a secret, or whatever? Like what are you gonna do? Like isn't a thing, like you don't like mess with your friends like exes? And he's like, look, that's between me and Milan. Like if you're worried about it, then we need to talk about that, sort of thing. And then just, yeah, the way that everyone communicated in this book was so good. Like just like men communicating well is just like a turn on for me. Like that's not an ick. That is a very big, I love it. I love it a lot. Just read this book, please. It's the last thing you do. I then read for my buddy read with Abby of the month, Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This was another book that I really loved. So we've got, who do we have? Marcus and April. Now April is fat and she knows it, and she flaunts it so well. I love that. Love like she's not apologetic about it. The sexy scenes in this book were so good, and the way she's like, she just gets on top and she does not care, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could be like that. One big thing I didn't like about this book was another lying trope. Anyways, basically this book is about Marcus, who is an actor on this Game of Thrones-esque show, and April is a fan fiction writer for that show. And turns out that Marcus is as well, but no one can know about it because he talks shit about the show through his fanfics, basically. Marcus and April are like really good friends in the fanfic world, but they don't know who each other are in real life. And then April starts cosplaying, and she cosplays as Marcus's love interest in the show. It goes viral, and basically Marcus asks her out on a date. And then through that first date, Marcus soon realizes that April is his bestie on the online world, but doesn't tell her. So that was my one big ugh. Like, why? Like, you say that she is like, you couldn't live without her, she's loved your life, but you're won't tell her the truth. Make it make sense. Otherwise, I really, 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 really love this book. The ending, the way they got back together was a bit iffy for me, just because she didn't really say yes. He's pretending to be like this dumbed down idiot for publicity's sake, really. And like, she knows that he's not. He ends up like telling the whole world that he's super smart and he's not as dumb as people think he is. Like, she finds out and she goes, okay. Then as she's like moderating a panel for his co-star, like someone comes up and asks, like someone asks a question to April, are you guys still together? Because it's so good seeing like someone like me, like someone fat, like dating a movie star. And Marcus comes out and was like, yeah, we're still dating, like we're not going to break up if I have anything to say about it. Like, super keen to pick the sequel up though, because it's about Marcus's bestie on the show who writes fanfic about pegging. And I'm like, if it's got pegging in it, I want to read about it. I then read Throttled by Lauren Asher for the first chapter book club on Facebook. This is a F1 romance that I read on KU, and I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I cannot remember the names. Basically, you've got the female main character whose brother is upcoming in the Formula 1 world, and he wants her to come along with him around the world to his races for the first season. And she's like taking a gap year, and she's like, yeah, sure, like I want to start on my like vlog in my YouTube and all this, blah blah blah. And then you've got the love interest, who is the teammate of the brother and who is like the biggest asshole in the world except for her. And it was so cute. Like the way they both like tried to deny their attraction for so long, like it was just so much angst. And when they finally got together, it was so good. Oh my gosh, because he is a big slut in the world. Everyone knows his pre-race ritual is to just go bang someone, and when he stops doing that, he goes, oh, I think I'm falling for her. I'm like, oh my god, I love it so much. I really can't remember much else about this book. Okay, last book I read in the month was for the Fire Reading Witch Queens book club, and that was Rapsodic by Laura Thalassa. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It gave me Akatar vibes, but with a weird flashback scene. So you got Des and you've got Calypso, or Callie. Basically, Callie, when she was younger, she calls the bargainer to try and help her clear up a murder. He basically goes, nah, you're a minor, like I'm not going to deal with minors and blah blah blah. Anyway, he ends up doing it, and then he's like, you are going to go to this like magical school because you're a siren and that's where you're going to keep safe, blah blah blah. Anyway, it's 7 years later. After reasons unknown, Desmond basically abandoning Calypso, he comes back and she's like, fuck, like I never stopped loving him, basically. And I'm like, look, I know he didn't do anything. She was 16. He's like fucking, I don't know, old. It was a bit weird watching her fall for him. He was like falling for her too, but like he didn't do anything. And even though like apparently 16 is the legal age in the supernatural world, which the author did not let you forget about that, it still was a bit ick for me. I still really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to pick up the next book because the vibes were good. Basically, I loved it. I loved the vibes. And I can definitely see the hype around this book. So these were some of the books that I read for the month of May. Let me know down below what your favorite book of the month was. I would love to know. And yeah, don't forget you can like this video and subscribe if you want to see more by me. If you want to add me on Goodreads, Instagram or Twitter, that is at sashreads. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye.